And the other thing you can think of with this particular image is, let's say I wasn't able to get the vignette, his hand, which is dipping down like that. And I find the end of his hands a little on the dark side. In fact, let's see if I can overdo it so it becomes more obvious. Is it becoming more obvious that his hand's getting dark? But I don't like the look of that. Well, there's nothing I can do in here in post-crop vignetting to get rid of it without undoing a lot of the vignetting. But that's when I might think about grabbing my adjustment brush. And with my adjustment brush, I'll double-click on the word Effect to reset all the sliders. And I'll just say, what would I need to do right there in order to make that look more like the rest of his hand, his other hand. That's when I might come in and either bring up the exposure slider or the shadow slider and paint it into the image. So I'll bring up, let's say, shadows a bit. And in this case, I don't want to get overspray beyond his hand, right? And it would be really easy to get overspray beyond his hand. So I'll turn on Auto Mask. And now I'll come in here and try to paint it into his hand. And then I'll fine-tune the sliders, either shadows or exposure, to see if I can get his hand to kind of come out of that. I'm ignoring it up by his wrist. I'm only looking at it where it is in there. I might try exposure instead. Or both. And then it's brightening his wrist too much. So that's when I would say I want to erase. I'd have Auto Mask turned off, and I'd have a real soft edge brush. So that now if I come into the image with a slightly larger brush, I can take the adjustment away from the picture. We're using a soft edge brush, and I can say just don't affect it up here where his wrist is. And I can dip down as far as I think I need to get it in there, and then fine-tune this just until I think it's just right, where I can't tell that I've adjusted his hand. Let's see if it helps at all. I will turn off the little checkbox, little switch for the adjustment brush. You see the difference? A little bit of the background's changing, so I might need to choose Erase, get a harder edge brush, a bit smaller, and just get it off of the background. Then let's see if it's helping. So you got to think about that on occasion when some object is going out near the edge of your frame. So that is post-crop vignetting. It's for any time you have cropped your photograph and you want to darken the edges to keep the attention towards the middle. It just sometimes feels weird that it's under the effects panel when you know you've seen it up in that lens panel. Just know the one in the lens panel is always coming from the original corners of your picture before it was cropped, and the one under the effects panel does it from the corners after you've cropped. So that's the main difference. We got any questions?
Yes, we do.
What we got?
Marion from Bucharest, Romania is asking, is there a way to shift the vignette off-center?
Is there a way to shift the vignette off-center? Off the top of my head, I don't think so, but let me glance just in case there is. Effects. No, what you would have, not that I can think of, what you would have to do is trick Lightroom by cropping the image in a way you don't want to, meaning add some extra space on one side so that it thinks that the newly cropped thing, the center is where you want it to be, which is off. Then save that image, meaning export it as a TIFF or a JPEG. Load it back into Lightroom and now crop it the way you really want it to. I don't know if that makes any sense. Leave it, you know. So that's one way you can do it. If there's another feature that allows you to move it, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. So Dorothy Explorer would like to know what's the difference between grain and noise. Grain and noise.
Technically, I don't know. Like whatever I say is just my opinion, not my I'm not a scholar on that. But to me, I think of grain as something that came from silver-based media that we used to print on photographically, and the look of it is different than digital cameras noise. The noise in a digital camera, to my